Exactly happens when a country prints money like it's monopoly money. It borrows so much cash that it literally has to ship its gold reserves across the world. These are some of the worst economic disasters of all time. We're back with more economic disasters, and this time we're starting off talking about Greece. Greece, the birthplace of democracy, the land of the philosophers, and the center of the worst economic meltdown in Europe in modern history. In 2001, Greece joined the Eurozone, meaning it adopted the euro as its official currency. They thought it was the golden ticket. Low interest rates, easy borrowing, access to booming economic markets and trade. But here's what most people didn't know. Greece had absolutely cooked its books. The government was completely hiding its real debt levels. They were using complex swaps and different accounting tricks just to cover it all up. And no one questioned it. Not the banks, not even the European Union. So what did Greece do with all that cheap credit? That's right, you guessed it by now. Spend, spend, spend. They spent it on everything. Public sector jobs, early retirement, pension funds, mega infrastructure projects, even the 2004 Olympics, which cost 9 billion euros. But then came 2008, the global financial crisis. The global financial crisis hits and investors got nervous. And everyone started asking the exact same question. Can Greece actually pay back its debts? Spoiler again, it couldn't. By 2010, Greece owed more than 300 billion euros. It was more money than its entire economy produced in any single year. So naturally, the EU, the IMF, the European Central Bank all stepped in. They offered Greece a huge bailout package, almost 250 billion euros. But of course, there was a catch: austerity. Massive spending cuts, pension slashes, and even tax hikes. It was basically economic shock therapy, and it wrecked people's lives. Unemployment hit 27%. Youth and young adult unemployment, 60%. Thousands of businesses closed. Rates spiked. Banks even limited ATM withdrawals to just 60 euros a day. Imagine, you have a lot of money sitting in your bank account, but you can't even withdraw it because the bank has a limit. The country didn't just suffer a crisis here. It lost basically an entire decade worth of economic development. And even today, Greece is still recovering. The lesson here? When you lie about your finances and cook the books long enough, eventually it will all come crumbling down, and the whole system's gonna crash.
3% of GDP. Economy on the brink of a collapse.
The economic environment was simply not conducive to
impose an export duty of 10% on exports of certain types of finished leather.
India is facing its worst economic crisis since independence.
And lastly, let's move to Southeast Asia, the homeland, India. In 1991, India stood on the edge of economic collapse. The government had approximately 2 weeks of foreign reserves left over. That's enough to pay for about 3 weeks worth of imports. No oil, no medicine, no food. India, a country at the time with almost 850 million people, had no money. But how exactly did it happen? For decades, India followed a strict protectionist socialist model, which means there's heavy state control. There was massive bureaucracy known as the license Raj. Imports were discouraged and foreign investment, almost none. And the result of that is slow growth, a bloated public sector, and an economy that just couldn't keep up with the rest of the world. By the late 80s, things had just continued to get worse. Add on top of that political instability and high fiscal deficits, and a sudden spike in oil prices after the Gulf War of 1990. Foreign investors completely lost faith, the credit completely dried up, and the Indian rupee plunged. India was on the verge of default. In a completely desperate and unprecedented move, India airlifted 67 tons of gold to the British bank. And that was just enough to secure them a $2.2 billion loan from the IMF. But then finally came the turning point. A new finance minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, stepped in. And in one historic and powerful speech, he said, "No power on earth can stop an idea whose time has come." India completely liberalized, a full 180 from what they were used to. It opened up foreign investments. It reduced import tariffs, devalued their own currency, privatized tons of different sectors, and ditched the decades of governmental red tape. It definitely wasn't easy though. There were protests, pushbacks, but it eventually worked. India's economy bounced back. And those reforms laid the foundation for what would eventually become one of the fastest growing economies in the world. The lesson here, sometimes it takes a real crisis to get reform, and it works. So have the courage to admit that the old ways just don't work anymore. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you're subscribed to this channel and like this video. As always, I'm your favorite ex-investor and banker, Jerome, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.